Yeah, I haven't really thought about it. I guess that our four-game losing streak, three of them were on the road, 3,000 miles away, 2,000 miles away, and then the one home game. Whereas the winning streaks are at home. Um, I mean, Montana State's good. I wish they weren't as good as they are. I watched them on film yesterday and last night, and again some this morning, and they've got a good team. We're gonna have to play well. They have two very good players that can score and have scored against anybody. And they played a very difficult schedule. They've been in a lot of road games. But the kid, Eric Rush, who's from Northern California, two guard, very good athlete, good shooter, good scorer. And then their four man's another four man like the guys we saw against Cal Poly and Davis and he's very good player. He's a step out four man. He can score around the basket, but he can also shoot the three and plays out on the perimeter and can play more like a guard than like a true power forward. Their point guard Singleton played at Fairfax High School and is a local product. Singleton, and he's a good player, smart player, tough kid. I remember watching him in high school and good competitor. So he'll want to come in here and play well. They have a good three-man out of Pasadena as well. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it. Papoli or Papili. Good shooter, though. So they've got some good athletes and good shooters, and we're going to have to play well to have success. Well, I mean, the last time when we lost that home game, Ben, we had been to New York and back where we traveled 9 out of 12 days where we were on the road. And that's also a contributing factor. And we've got to have a good practice today. So how we avoid having a letdown, having a good practice today in preparation for our opponent.
Coach, would you say the BYU game was the best game defensively the team's played this year?
We did some good things defensively for sure in that game, but they still shot a high percentage. I think we forced them into some turnovers, and the one thing that they were talking about after the game is they only had 7 assists on the baskets that they made. So I thought Malcolm Lee in particular did a great job of trailing and harassing Fredette. And Fredette, although he shot a good percentage, did have 7 turnovers, and that was probably a huge stat. We only had 10 turnovers, and I think they had, I don't know. Yeah, so that was a big difference in the game. We're hoping to play well and continue to improve as the season progresses each and every time we go out. We want to just get better at every facet, and we've got to do a good job tomorrow attacking their zone and continue to get it inside. I thought that our team's getting better at getting the ball inside, where we usually are going to have a size advantage with Josh in there in particular. We had some nice possessions against the zone on Saturday where we got it in and then kicked it back out. One time the Honeycutt got an open three. Another time, I'm trying to remember who else it was, that we got it back out and then got it back inside for a cutting layup by Reeves. Good ball movement, and we've got to continue to do that. And we've got to improve defensively. I mean, we've got to, Emery had a good second half against us. He's a good player, but we've got to be consistent. I thought one of the best things, like I just said a minute earlier, is taking care of the basketball. I was pleased with that. To only have 10 turnovers in our last game. That's something we want to continue to make it a point of emphasis.
Coach, what are some of the issues with defensive help in your big? Seems like they're struggling with it sometimes to come over and provide help.
Just what you said, yeah. our big guys need to do a better job at coming over at times and giving up. And I thought Josh probably is doing Josh and Brendan are doing the best job. Josh is taking more charges than anybody. And a charge he took on Fredette, which was his fourth foul, Fredette's fourth foul, was a huge play because we had a chance to go up 14. We missed 2 free throws, so then went from 12 to like 2. And I think it was a 2 or 4 point game when he took that charge. It took Fredette out of the game. That's kind of when we made our move to take a lead again of 7 to 9 points there as we went into the last part of that game. Reeves has got to get better at that. There were a couple times I thought he should have come over and been more active on the ball, trying to make a play to block a shot. And we did try to take charges. Lamb had a charge that he took in that game that wasn't called our way. That was a big play. Reeves took a charge in that game that they actually, I think, called a block, which as I watched it, it was in the first half, was one that could have gone either way. So, we did have some guys slide over there and do a decent job.
When you say get better, is that effort-wise? Is it being able to
Recognition of even seeing it and realizing that's what I need to do.
One of the other issues seems like on defense is defensive transition. It seemed like there were a couple of times when BYU just beat you to basketball.
A couple, especially out of their zone. One of the things that zone is set up to do, if they do get a rebound, is run out of it because you have your guards up high and a quick outlet and they can be gone. For the most part, our defensive transition was pretty good, and we had changed it. Now, the one thing that was odd for us in that last game is that Malcolm normally is the guy who's back and the point guard stops the ball. But because Malcolm was guarding their point guard, we had to get Zeke to remember to get back. And it's easier said than done. You have to, something that has to be a habit. That will happen again this year where Malcolm will end up guarding the point, and we've got to have Jeremy and Zeke remember their job is to get back and be the first guy back.
Coach Jeremy Anderson last year struggled a little bit with turnovers this year. He only has 2 turnovers in the last 73 minutes. What's changed for him? Is it just smarter passing, better passing?
He's playing. He really played well the week before the BYU in terms of 11 assists to 1 turnover, and I'm really happy. I didn't realize that he's only had 2 turnovers in the last 72 minutes. That's a great stat. Some of it's just maturity. I think Jeremy's improved as a player. I think Jeremy's a much better player than he was a year ago. He's really provided us really good minutes when he's come to the game and been a real boost for us. I just think he's matured, and I think he had as we talked about going into the season, he had a much better summer. His summer was really, a lot of hard work. He really, really put the time in this summer to work on his game, and you could see now his confidence in his shot from 3 has really grown, and he made another big 3 for us again in that last game. Malcolm made some great passes. As I went back and watched the game over, Malcolm had 7 assists and only 1 turnover. He made a lot of nice passes that led, obviously right to baskets with 7 of his passes going for assists.
Might this be your best post-feeding team? You got a lot of guys who come in post.
You know what? This is our best since Kevin was here, who was actually here last night. We got a chance to visit with Kevin Love because they're playing tonight, and he was actually on campus yesterday. But yeah, we have our best guys to feed in the post since he's been here. And Josh, I keep forgetting. Kevin, when he first got here, I got, God, he's enormous. What a big kid. What a body, and that he just looks like a little junior high kid compared to Josh. I mean, Josh is so big. I mean, how can you miss him in the post? And he catches everything. And as Josh gets better at sealing, and he still is, learning how to use his body to his advantage. As he gets better, it's just so hard. But yes, there's no question that's a point of emphasis. Honeycutt made a lot of nice passes in our last game, feeding the post, and we keep a stat every day in practice that's post feeds. Tyler Lamb is consistently doing a good job. Tyler Lamb had a couple of very good passes to Josh in this past game that led to layups or easy baskets. But both, as I've said before, Reeves Nelson and Josh have tremendous hands. Kevin had great hands. I mean, when you have a guy who has great hands that can play inside, I mean, it really makes it easier to feed the post. And the thing is, it's not a black hole. Those guys pass it back out. They're good passers.
Would you say this team even feeds the post better than that team Kevin runs? It seems like that's that.
It's early to say. I hope so, because it's a good thing to be able to play inside out. And they have the big guys that can do it.
Coach, to see Josh play the way he did with 4 fouls, what does that mean to you as his coach?
Means, boy, I'm sure thankful he didn't get his 5th, because it was a gamble. As I went back and watched the film, we had 3 guys in there with 4 fouls, but it was like a 2-4 point game, and my thought at the time was, we've got to roll the dice here and go for the win and not try to shorten the game. And so we were fortunate, and he did a great job. We were playing with 4 fouls. He took that charge with 4 fouls, which was a big play, and he was a key for us when the game got tight there again after we had an extended lead and they came back on us. He was the guy that scored 2 or 3 times in a row to start to break it back open again for us. So we need Josh in the game. I thought Brendan came in, Stove came in, gave us good minutes, but our front line had 55 points between the 3 of them again, and that's a good sign. Yeah, you have to play normal. You have to play the game. And he got his 4th foul. I mean, he's got to see some of the fouls he makes. He's got to try to avoid, like, even his first foul early in the game. I'm trying to remember what it was because I was watching it, and we took him out just about right after. It wasn't a particularly good foul. But it's just something he's going to have to continue to be aware of, playing without fouling. That means playing with your feet and not reaching.
Does he get called for fouls just because he's big?
Yeah, and that's typical, though. I mean, the biggest guy always gets the least amount of calls and always gets calls made against him. I mean, there was one point in the game where they had their player actually wrap both arms around him as he was going up to shoot. And he turned and was upset. He got the foul, but it wasn't an intentional foul. And I thought the officials did a good job, but on that particular play, you could see, the guys wrapped both arms around him, and they didn't call it an intentional foul. And Josh was upset about it, and rightfully so. But he's that's how it's going to be. I thought he did a good job in our last game scoring the basketball. He's looking to score, and he's got to continue to improve at seeing the open man. One time he drove and he made a tough basket during a key juncture in the game against the zone, finishing at the rim, and he also had Honeycutt wide open on the wing. But he finished the play, so that was good. But yeah, and you got to remember, we have Honeycutt, is like a point forward. I mean, Honeycutt probably gets more joy and satisfaction out of making a pass that leads to a basket than anybody on our team. I mean, it's just something which I love as a coach, to have a player who's like that. And so it kind of offsets a little bit in that, we have a guy who in many ways plays like a point guard in Honeycutt, how he handles the ball, and how he's looking for others all the time. It's not your classic, where the points, the guy always doing that, and the wings are always looking to score. And Honeycutt's very much a playmaker. Yeah, we're getting better. I think that's clear that our players are improving, and that's what you strive to do, is to improve every day, every week, every game, and so yeah, that was obviously a big step to beat a very, very good team, which BYU is. BYU is a very good team; they're excellent, and to beat them, on a neutral floor, and they had a good crowd. They probably had more if their bowl game wasn't going on at the same time. which I didn't realize till after the game was over. But I mean, you could hear when Fredette was announced, that was the biggest ovation there was going into the game. I mean, they had a nice crowd that was there, and then they're a good team. They're very well coached. That was an important win, and we've got to build on it. We've got to take advantage of it now and learn from the fact that we had good preparation in terms of our practices and the intensity and the level of focus going in the game. And we've got to learn to do that for every game that we play. And that's what good teams do. They have that same focus and that same killer instinct. And our guys were genuinely really happy and satisfied playing for each other and playing for that win. You could tell that was the players got how big a win that was for us.
Is that something you saw when you stepped back and you looked at your roster, you looked at your guys, you said, okay, maybe by this date I want to see this or this?
Not really.
See that in them that you knew it was going to come?
Yeah, I'm pleased. I mean, you know, my biggest concern is the one thing I have no control over. You know what that is? Staying healthy. If this team stays healthy, we're going to have a good year.
Any other questions?
Coach, Josh Smith is averaging about 10 rebounds a game in the last 5. Reason I sense a drop in that time. Is that just a matter of one guy getting them, the other guy?
You know what? Yeah, I think the game before this, which was against Davis, you know, they had, I think, like 30 rebounds between the three of them. I don't know how many. I can't remember. I think Reeves had 4 or 5 on Saturday. Josh had. And how many did Honeycutt have?
12. Or no, excuse me, 8 as well.
Yeah. You know, we're good. As I look at the rebounding numbers, we're outboarding our opponent by 6 or 7. And, you know, Josh, he gets in a little inflated numbers once in a while because he misses the first and gets his hand on the second. And, yeah, he's watching Kevin Love play. But I'm joking. But you know, Josh, I mean, he really does a great job of keeping it alive. You know, sometimes he gets in a hurry and he puts it up and he misses, but he's right there to get it again. It's a really hard thing to do, to be his size and be a quick rebounder. And that's what he is. You know, he's quick to the ball. His hands are absolutely, you know, it's incredible how good his hands are.
Any other questions?
Okay, thanks.